Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. I'm going to show 3 different ways of creating birthday cards, and they're going to be age birthday cards, primarily using the Festive Borders stamp and thin cut set. So these stamps also have coordinating dies, so these 4 images here. I'm going to do some rainbow colouring of the sentiment, and I'll show you how I've done that, add some little details, and I'm doing 3 different versions of the cards. So stay tuned for all of them. They'll all be a little bit different, and I'm going to assemble them all for you on camera. First up, I'll get to this colouring part because I do want that to dry a little bit. You can see here that I'm going in rainbow order. So I'm going to just pick up each colour. This one is dark red blend, and just do the bottom section of this balloon and then go to mid. This is very, very quick colouring. I just want a little bit of graduation of colour with the lightest colour on the top part of the balloon. So going around each one and blending it in. I'm going to do the trick that I love to do with the yellow. So now I'm going in with orange. And with the yellow, I find that I mix 2 colours, and I've shown this before in other colouring videos. So I'll just finish this little bit up. And then the trick with the yellow, I use the citrus blend, but to deepen it, I use gold yellow. I go in with mid to start with, and then with light, and oops, that's the dark. Go in with light, and then blend that in just a little bit. And then I go to my citrus and I do the dark, mid, and light over top. So dark on the bottom, that brings a little bit of extra depth. Mid for the middle, and then light for the top. And I bring that all the way down the bottom in this case because I want the yellow to be a nice bright colour. This one I'm using Jade green. I just love this stamp set. I love that they're all in borders and that these all come with thin cuts. When I get a new stamp set and there's a lot of images that need colouring, I usually go through them and work out what size of paper I need, and then I'll get out my Misty usually and stamp a whole heap of panels all in one go. This colour I'm using now is blue turquoise. That way they're all nice and ready. I keep them in the packet and they're ready for me to go and colour. When I do the stamping, I do like to set them aside to dry, so this suits perfectly if I do them all when way in advance of when I need them. I don't have to worry about waiting for the black ink, and I use intense black to stamp when I'm going to be colouring in, because I want my ink to dry. If I go in straight away to do my colouring, you can get some bleed. But if you leave them overnight or just for a little while, I just like to have everything prepped and ready to go. That last colour was a pink violet blend, and I'll list all the colours below in the description. I'm going to wait for this to dry a little bit, and then I'll be using my Jelly Roll 08 pen. I don't want to use the 10 because I want fine lines. You can see here I've done them just around the bottom left and the top right edges of these letters, just to add a little bit of character. So while that ink is drying, I'm going to start with the first of the cards today. This one is going to be a shaker card. And all of the elements on all 3 cards have a panel cut with our stitched rectangles. You get 2 pieces with this, so when you cut and run this through, the inside piece will cut and will give you the stitches, and then you'll get a frame as well. So you can save those to use on other projects. Once I've run that panel through, I have then got our brand new slim alphabet thin cuts. These come in letters and in numbers, and I love how these look with the long skinny fonts. And I've placed these down the lower section of the card to cut out the numbers. This one, as I said, is going to be a shaker card. So I've just got a piece of acetate and adhered it with liquid glass to the back area here. And then when that's been dry, I've flipped it over and I've put the little inserts in as well, because it's important to put those in. They just sort of look a little bit lost if it's cut out and you haven't got that part when you're using the negative area. The next thing I'm going to do is make it into a shaker card. Now, I have a little bit of a funny story about this. I couldn't find my foam tape anywhere, and I thought I'd run out. So I ran out to the garage because I knew that we had this left over from when we put a mirror up on a door, and I thought, oh, I can make my shaker card out of this. I have to say, when I'm cutting this up, and it was good because I covered the whole back of the panel, but this is so tacky on the inside, and even our non-stick scissors, this stuff was coming off. So to clean the scissors up, I had to use our rub and remove. But it's not my choice of foam tape, but it's what I had to do in a pinch. Thankfully now I have found where I put my foam tape. Because this is all ready to go, I'm actually going to put a white panel behind this so that the sequins show out. When they've got the pattern behind here, I just found it a little bit too busy. And I've gone ahead and pre-cut a little white square to go over the top of that. So I've just poured into this well here that's totally sealed all the way around because you don't want anything to escape, some rainbow sequins that I just had in my stash. And then to seal that in, I'm going to put this white square over the top. Now you can see one of the, or two of the sequins has gone off to the side there, but that's okay. Once you start trying to play with these and pick them off, all the sequins tend to jump around. And to make sure that this all adheres properly to the card panel, I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of that. And then I can turn that over and you can see all of the sparkly rainbow sequins on the inside. And then I'm just going to line this up to the front. Now I had to edit some of that out because that sticky tape that I was using wasn't very easy to work with. So I think in future I'll just have to make sure that I put all my foam tape where it's supposed to go. I'd actually ordered some and hadn't unpacked the box, so I didn't have enough. I thought at the time, I only thought I had this much left, which wasn't enough to do this panel. So I've adhered the happy birthday, centering this over the top of the number. So now I've got my card panel all done and I've put some adhesive on the back. I'll just get one of our card bases, which is a standard A2 size. And I always like to just run my bone folder over that just to adhere it down. And if you're wondering about this paper, this is paper that I have had for a long time. It's from an old Fundamentals pack that we used to have. But putting a little bit of pattern paper behind there, even though you can only see this much of it, just lifts the card that much more. So that's card number 1. The next 2 cards are going to have a similar theme with some rainbow strips. So I'm going to show you how I put these together. This one I'm going to put the rainbow strips behind, and this one I'm going to cut the numbers out of the rainbow pieces that I put down. So I'm just covering this whole entire panel with adhesive, ready to put the 1/4 inch strips of cardstock. that I've already pre-cut. It doesn't matter that they're a little bit longer, they can be from your scraps. And I'm just layering these up, butting them up against each other so that they run in a rainbow order. So that's quite easy to put together. I'm just going to trim this part off because I'm going to now run this through my die cutting machine with the slimline numbers. So this is going to be a 40th card, and I have already adhered. This is a brand new adhesive that's just been released in our core catalogue. It's the adhesive sheets, 5 sheets of double-sided permanent adhesive. These measure at 12 by 12. So I have cut these down and I've just put a panel of it here. You can't really see it at the moment, and then I'll peel that off when I'm ready to adhere the numbers on. I want the colours to run the same, so I'm not going to put them offset like this. I want them to be perfectly lined up. So I'm going to use some washi tape to adhere those and run these through my die cutting machine. So I've run that through. Just a point to note, if you've got a die cutting machine where you can adjust the pressure, you will be able to cut it thicker. Or if you don't have one of those, you can run it through several times and put a shim with it as well. So all of our thin cuts have got a little hole in them. If you have trouble getting things out, you can push on that. Just be careful when you're taking things apart that everything's going to still remain together. It's a little bit fiddly, but it will have a great result at the end. Okay, so the adhesive backing is coming off from that double-sided adhesive sheet, and I have some that I have already layered up together. I've cut several of these white 4s and 0s with the double-sided adhesive so that I don't have to cut a whole heap of little bits of foam tape. So I've got one more to put on, so I can just peel that off and pick up my other 4 and put that on. And that's got the double-sided adhesive as well, so when I'm ready I'll be able to line all of that up. So I'll just get rid of this part of the adhesive. Put it on the one that I've prepared earlier. I think all in all I cut 5 of the white, and then I've got the layered part of this rainbow patch that we made, but it just gives a nice amount of dimension to the card without having to go to all the trouble of trying to line up some tiny little pieces of foam tape. And I have been going through my stash for all the background panels, and I found this paper. I really can't remember what pack it came from, but that was the other side. So I've cut that down to a card panel, so I'm going to adhere this. So you can see how easy that is. Peel away the backing. I might bring in my T-ruler just to make sure that I can line this up perfectly. Make sure I put that around the right way. I really love these new adhesive sheets. They just make it so easy to line everything up. I've got the same sentiment already prepared. Quite a simple design, but I think they really pack a punch with colour, and with the numbers it makes it that much more special for the recipient. So that's ready to adhere to a card panel, But I'll just put that aside for now and we'll get on to the next one. This one I am going to just put the rainbow strips that I've created exactly the same way I did with this one. I'm going to put that directly behind. So I just need to trim the edges off. And then I'm going to adhere that directly to the card base. And rather than guessing where it's going to go, I'm just going to put my adhesive directly onto this card panel. I'll put that down so that it's lined up and square. And then I can put this over top so that's lined up. And I've got another card panel to put behind that because this brings in, once again, all the colours of the rainbow like this stripe panel did here. This is another one from my stash and I can't remember. I split up my packs. Once I've used them, I tend to split them up and sort them by colour. So I have blue patterns, green patterns, purple patterns. When there's multicolours, I usually put it in the blue pile for some reason. I just know to go there to look for multicolour papers. And before I add my gel pen, I'm going to do that while it's on the card so that I don't smudge it. They can take a little bit of time to dry. It doesn't take too long. I'm cutting into the B section and just rounding off that corner by turning the paper, because I need this section here to come back out a bit for the top of that Y. And then I'll adhere some foam tape. Normally I would put the gel pen on, wait for it to dry and then run it through the die cutting machine rather than putting it straight onto the card and doing it. I'm just going to make sure this is flowing. If your gel pen isn't flowing, just rub it on your hand, just the back of your hand here, and that'll get everything flowing. And I'm just going to go around the bottom left and the top right of each letter. And you can see that just helps bring everything a little bit more to light. It doesn't have to be totally perfect. Don't stress when you're doing things like this, and don't press too hard with the white gel pen. It flows really, really nicely with just a light touch. I've actually kept the inside pieces of this 40, so I could cut this down. You can actually create this as a card as well and put the happy birthday on there, and you could matte that in another colour. So that would make a quite effective card. Here are the cards all put together. You can see that they all have the same style but have 3 different techniques of putting them together. This one with the rainbow sequins underneath creates a fun interactive card. This one here using the double-sided adhesive sheets so that you don't have to use foam tape. You can just keep layering up cardstock to give the dimension to those numbers. It really makes them pop and stand out. And this one with the rainbow strip hidden underneath to make that look like it's all inlaid. I hope you've enjoyed watching these 3 cards come together. I'll put some still shots up of all of these cards at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.